If you are in your 20s hoping there is more to life than boys and Bacardi, you are in the right place. Katie Balmer has been a keynote speaker to over 60 colleges nationwide, encouraging 20-somethings to realize their worth, find their calling, and not date dirtbags. But seriously, Katie is an author, viral TikTok creator, wife, mom of 2 girls, and your adopted aunt that you never knew how bad you needed. Ready to have some real conversation tackling the hottest topics? This is the Truth for Your 20s podcast.
One of the fun things about having a podcast is you find people you really love on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to know you more. Everything you say on the internet is amazing. And that's basically what's happening right now with Ayana. I'm so excited to meet you, to have you on the podcast. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. I try my best not to be nervous.
Oh, no. Well, you don't seem nervous on all of your videos. You're like shooting fire. Like some of my arm hairs singe because they're so good holding my phone. But you speak truth, you speak wisdom. But before we get into that, I'd love to just kind of know who you are a little bit.
So my name is Ayana. I am a veteran. So I did maybe a little bit over 2.5 years active duty Army. Unfortunately, I had to get out due to a lot of the things going on in the Army with, sexual assault and stuff like that. However, I ended up becoming a single mother. So I'm a single mother of a daughter. So that's also a big influence of, why I do the videos that I do. And so I work in digital marketing. So I'm very good at marketing. So my voice is really what I use every single day, communications marketing at American Military University as well.
I love what you just said, that I use my voice. And I think that in more ways than one, because I'm super passionate about, like, we all have a voice and it all matters. And there's a lot to be impact there. But you specifically, like your audible voice, like, I feel like I can say the same sentence, but you say it with such conviction, and you got some power. That's the word I'm looking for, some power in your voice. And I love it. You have a daughter, you're passionate about young women. Tell me a little bit more about that passion, because a lot of the truth bombs that you're dropping are for our 20-something market. Where did that passion come from?
Trial and tribulation. That's what it really came from. I was just telling my friend the other day that when I'm making these videos, I'm really looking at myself the entire time. So telling myself what I really want to hear at those times, that's what's really most important to me. And that passion really comes from just going through things. So I would make a video about, pray for your husband, but 2-3 seconds before that video, I'd be like, God, why in the world can't I get a husband? And then just that truth bomb will be dropped on me. And I'm like, okay, I have to go share this. I have to go put this out. So that's where my passion comes from. Just gone through a lot my entire life. I left the military November 3rd. November 18th, I found out that my mother passed away.
Oh, wow.
And then the first week of December, I found out that I was going to be a single mother. So that's also when I found out I was pregnant and going to be a single mother. So I didn't really know what to do, fresh out of the military and stuff like that. So dealing with all of that, keeping a baby, after being in a relationship that person didn't want you to keep the baby. So when you're dealing with stuff like that, you have to motivate yourself consistently. So most of my drive and passion comes from self-motivation, trying to get myself out of bed every single day.
Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit about your faith journey, if you don't mind, because you're preaching some Jesus-filled truth bombs as well.
Yes. So I officially gave my life to Christ. I was, of course, born and raised in the church. But I had one parent that was raised Catholic, then turned Methodist. And I had another parent who was, so Baptist. And so it was all over the place when I was growing up. But when I was in the military, I served over in Europe. And that's when I really, 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 really experienced God the most, because I just went through so much on top of so much. And so I gave my life to Christ in Europe. But I always tell people my relationship with God is not like your typical relationship with God. So how I'm speaking in those videos is how I feel like God is speaking to me. And so sometimes I used to just keep it all to myself. And so it wasn't until 2020 where when I started putting the camera in front of my face and just telling other women exactly what God is telling me, but making it on a platform where everybody can see it. That's really where my faith journey really is. It's just me and God and my daughter.
Yeah, but you're using your voice to encourage a lot of other people. And you have a pretty impressive following. So obviously what you're saying needs to be heard. I think that it resonates with a lot of, well, I'm sure all kinds of people, but I know a lot of young women especially. Tell us, obviously I found you because of some of those amazing videos. And I wrote down a few that I for sure want you to unpack, but like the privilege of getting to talk more with the creator of these videos, like maybe just kind of give us some behind the scenes or unpack some of your most viral, some of the ones that resonated the most with people.
I had a few extremely viral ones. So I'll start with the most recent, which is praying for your husband. So I would hear women talk about this all the time, where like, especially in my age group, because in my age group, I'm 24. So in my age group, we're starting to see a lot of our friends get married. And, everybody's like, oh, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And so sometimes we spend more time complaining, about how come it's not going to be me? How come it's not going to be me? When is it going to be my turn? When am I going to meet the guy? When am I going to meet the guy? God, please just bless me with the husband. Just please bless me with the husband. I've heard from so many amazing women who've been married for years. They all have one thing in common. And they go, you know what? One day I just went to God and said, God, this is the man that I want. I never met him, never seen him, but this is the man that I want. And I prayed that prayer, and I prayed it one time. I didn't get on God's nerves. When you going to give my man? When you going to give my man? Please, I need a man. But I prayed it one time, and God listened to my prayer. And within a certain amount of time, I knew that was my husband because I went to God for him, which is why I told women to be specific, because don't just pray for a tall man. Because, I had an aunt who goes, I prayed for a tall man, but he ended up being on drugs. And so it's like, whoa, you want to be specific, right? So you want to be specific. If you want a man that, is healed, because you will hear some women go, I want a man that can heal me. No, you want a man that's healed within himself.
Great.
So then it's like both of y'all can really bounce off. Those are the best people, the people who have gone through trial and tribulation and who have healed from it so that they can have a testimony. That's the type of spouse you want, not somebody who's a wedded therapist. You don't want that person. You want somebody who you guys can just come together and thank God for bringing you through everything he's brought you through. So that's what I really want to tell young ladies is don't pray to God for a boyfriend. Pray to God for your husband, somebody permanent, somebody that is going to pour into you and somebody that you can pour into. That's why I ended the video with, and at the end of that prayer, say, God, if there's anything within me, because sometimes it's not that God doesn't have a man for us. It's just we're not ready. So if there's anything within me, please, God, continue to shape and mold me. Because sometimes we can get so caught up in praying for the man that we forget to pray for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that's what I see. And not just with the husband, but also with children. Even if you don't have children yet, pray for them. Pray protection over them so they can live long lives and they can be successful. I pray it over my daughter, even though she's about to be one, but I pray it that she will be a great mother, that she will be a great woman, a great daughter of God. So that's really what that video was about.
Oh, that's so good. I'm over here nodding my head so hard. Yes. I say on this podcast all the time, there's no such thing as marriage problems. There are single people problems in a marriage. So the best gift you can give your future marriage is working on that best version of yourself. Hands down, preach. Amen. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And what a gift too, to pray. I mean, my word, who doesn't I've talked to so many different people, even people who, I want nothing to do with God, but you can say, can I pray for you? Yes. I know very few people who would decline that offer, and to not only work on that best version of yourself, but praying for a future husband, like the best gifts you can give him for sure.
Hey friends, if you enjoy this podcast, first of all, I so appreciate you, but you support what we're doing over here by shopping our online store. So you can find all kinds of fun swag at katiebulmer.life. I have t-shirts, notebooks, and the popular I Don't Date Dirt Bags tote. Yes, you need one. They make great gifts. So you can find all the information at katiebulmer.life, and our podcast friends save $3 by using promo code SOCIAL. So use promo code SOCIAL at katiebulmer.life. You can save $3 on anything in the shop, and I hope you have some fun over there.
Okay, I would love for you to maybe give us another video that you can unpack and give us some behind the scenes.
Okay, so one that really blew up is I talked about how God is very protective over his daughters.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of women, I cannot tell you how, because I am big on these crime documentaries. And a lot of these women, they get so emotionally invested into these men, and then the men end up breaking their hearts. So they're like, I have to get back at him. Or, I can't believe that there's somebody that broke my heart. You have to feel like it's you. And sometimes we can get so caught up in the heartbreak that we forget that we are the daughters of God.
Yeah.
It's so heavy on us. And in that video, I mentioned how my sisters, myself, every God-fearing woman that I've met, any man that has done her wrong has never gotten away with it. Has never gotten away with it because she took it up to God and said, God, listen, this is what happened, A, B, C, D. And God dealt with it accordingly. But sometimes we feel like, oh no, God's not going to deal with it in the way I want him. No, I need it to be done now. But sometimes when we go to God, God's going to deal with it in the way that it should be dealt with. Yeah. So instead of you, going out committing crime, or instead of you going out, going crazy, stalking him, God's going to make it in a way where not only is he going to bless you with somebody better, but he's also going to bless you with a better version of yourself. And then on top of that, he's going to do all of that for you in the presence of that man who did you wrong. I'll always tell people this is God is not going to let nobody leave this world without them knowing how they made other people feel. So God is going to do his job, but you just have to give yourself permission to allow God to do his job. It's sometimes we like to play God. I want to get back. I want to get back. He broke my heart. I want to get back at him. No, don't go find another guy. No, the best thing you could do for yourself when you go through a breakup is heal from that breakup. Yeah. Don't listen to your friends who tell you to go find another guy or indulge in certain things. No, heal from that breakup because you don't want the same guy. Yeah. And that's how we keep finding ourselves in these patterns in relationships, is because we just want to hurry up and fill that void that we have instead of actually healing it. Yeah. So we go get the same guy. We don't even know, but we go get the same version of that guy, just in a different shell. Yeah. So it's giving it to God and letting him do it because he's very protective over his daughters. The same way you go in detail for your husband with God is the same way you should go in detail with those who have hurt you to God. Because he's like any parent, I'm a parent. I know if my child comes to me and says, somebody hurt me and they really hurt me so bad, I don't even want to get out of bed in the morning, I'm going to go find them. Yeah. And so God is very protective over his children, especially his daughters.
Oh, I love that. And it's so true. We have 2 daughters as well. And yeah, I mean, I dare someone like, yes, the wrath for sure. And I'm an imperfect parent. And so imagine our perfect Heavenly Father who only wants what is best. And like, I think about, there was this one time we were, my daughters do cross country and we were running in the woods and, it was a big group of us. And I kind of had a moment like, oh my gosh, like, what if she gets lost? And like, your mind starts like, I would tear every pine straw apart. I would call in the troops, the helicopters. Like I would not rest until I found my girl. I'm getting emotional.
Yes.
And think about our Heavenly Father. Like if we're lost, if we run away or whatever, he is going to rip the world apart to bring you back to himself.
Yes.
And that's what he's doing. Oh, I'm getting tears over here.
Yes.
You got a little girl. Oh, yes. Another video that you shared that was really good that I favorite a lot of videos. And so I'll just go back and sometimes look at my favorites, but you talk about, girl, I don't remember exactly what you said, but don't be ashamed that you're a virgin. And I think that that's such a good thing to talk about because it's so interesting in our culture. We shame the girl for hooking up and we shame the girl for being a virgin. Like what in the world?
Yes.
Like what? So what a dichotomy and what a mess. And anyway, your video dropped some truth bombs. I'd love for you to take us to that video.
Well, the reason why I made that video is because just being a single mother, A lot of people think sex is just sex. But when you are a virgin, that is the best thing you could do for yourself, especially if you're not married. If you're married, it's a whole different, that's what you're supposed to do. But when you're not married, keeping yourself to yourself is the best thing you could do for yourself. So it doesn't matter how long you've known that guy, everything that's within him spiritually is now going to transfer into you. You're this young girl, you have so much potential, but now you've opened yourself up for somebody who God has not intended for you. Now you find yourself having all these problems. It's like, I remember I was 17 when I lost my virginity. Prior to that, life was very simple, not easy, but simple. But the moment you open that door to having sexual relations is now life's not so simple. Doctor visits become a lot more longer. Yeah. Now you have to get more exams, but also to your spiritual. You're not lazy. Say you play a sport. You're not lazy. You like to get up. You like to work. You like to do this. You like to do that. But now all of a sudden you don't like to do those things. You like to do what he likes to do. You like to do, whatever time he likes to do it. And so many girls are walking around feeling ashamed for being virgins. And me being a single mother, I'm like, girl, that is the best thing you could do for yourself. Yeah. It's to just live your life for you, because sex has a way of making you feel like if that person leaves this world, you got to leave with them. Yeah. It makes you feel like if you're not on that person 24/7, then there's nothing else for you to do. You wait for them to text you. You wait for them to do this. You wait for them. No, save yourself the heartache and just save yourself. Yeah. Because there's a lot of things we can't control. But when you are a virgin, you have some control. Yeah. But when you open yourself up, there's a lot of things you can't control. You don't know who that person is. You may have known them for a few months, but you don't really know who they are. You don't know their health background. You don't know anything. You don't know if they're struggling with other things psychologically or whatever. But the moment you open yourself up, now you have to get to know those things. Now you have to be on the watch. You can't even have an upset stomach without being paranoid that, oh my gosh, I may be pregnant. Oh my gosh, this. So please do not be ashamed to be a virgin. That is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yes. And reclaim virginity too. I talk about that a lot on social media. Okay, maybe you did that when you're 17. That doesn't mean you can still wait till you're married. You can and then you realize probably everything she just said. And it's all over, sex is all over the media, and they glamorize it and make it look like it's all, no strings attached fun. And then you realize firsthand, it's the reality. It's a bonding process. It's scientifically and hormonally bonding you to another human being. And you're not married. And if things break up, it is devastating. Okay, you lived, you learned. It does not mean you have to continue having sex with people. You can have a renewed virginity for sure.
Yes.
I say that
a lot more challenging. That's what I say.
Well, with the same person, I feel like it is probably having a new relationship and just being like, I'm not doing this.
Yes, for sure. That's what I always tell my friends who are thinking about celibacy or friends who are still virgins. I tell them that, because they go, well, if it's not the right person, I could just become celibate. And I'd say celibacy is a lot harder than keeping your virginity, because at least with your virginity, you don't know what it feels like. Yeah. You don't know. You have no clue. But celibacy is, you are fighting everyday temptation 10 times because you already fell for the temptation. So now you're like, oh, I already know what that donut tastes like. I already know the flavors. I already know the smell of the donut shop. Whereas with a virgin, you could just avoid the donut shop. You just keep walking. That's true. So both challenging, but definitely either way is good for you. Yeah. Don't mess with anybody that God has not designed for you. Some people think that God is trying to control them when he's really trying to protect you. There's a reason why he wants us to wait till marriage. Yeah. So if you are a virgin, don't be ashamed. Please do not be ashamed, because you do have a one up. You can continue to go through. That's most of these crimes. This may sound crazy, but I tell young girls all the time, most of these romantic crimes where these women are slashing tires and they are going crazy. Yeah, that's because they are bonded to that man and they don't know how to get
100%.
unbonded.
Yes.
So now they're tripping. They're in the news. They're like, I don't know how this happened to me. I was such a good girl. I was such a teenage girl. And it's all rooted in giving yourself to somebody who God never intended you to have. Yeah. So pay attention to the crimes because those people are not sick in the head. Some of those people are bonded to those people. So keeping yourself is definitely a win.
The wise theologian Taylor Swift said, I have a long list of ex-lovers and they'll tell you I'm insane. And my heart breaks for that. I don't know Taylor Swift's personal business. But yeah, we look at a girl who's brokenhearted if it's a sexual relationship and they say, oh, she's insane. Is she? Or is she just bonded hormonally, the same hormones that pass to a mother who nurses her newborn baby and it tells us to bond to her. We're like, oh, this mother's wonderful because she, lifted a car to protect her baby. But the same woman is crazy because she slashed tires of a guy who left her. Like it's the same hormones. I have strong feelings about that.
Yes, I do not. I always tell people when you see those type of situations, you just have to pray for that female because there are some females they'll get his name tattooed on their body. They'll oh, that girl is crazy. She's sprung. That's what she is in love with that guy.
And again, our good and loving Father designed this idea of sex for marriage. And we say, I will do anything to keep this relationship together is good in marriage. It's like, I will, you and me through thick and thin is designed for marriage. And our good and loving Father knew what he was doing. And he says, I want you to give you this bond to someone who says, I love you through thick and through thin, for better or for worse, you and me together forever, not some guy who says you're pretty on a Friday night. You know what I mean?
Right. And sex has a way of making you, this is the crazy thing about sex, is it has a way of deceiving you into believing that person loves you. Yeah. I cannot tell you how many relationships lasted 10 times longer than they should have because of good sex. Yeah. Good sex will keep people in bad relationships for a long time. Yeah. So celibacy or keeping your virginity, those are the ways to go because there's no better feeling than having that feeling for your husband. Yeah. So you don't have to go looking for him. You don't have to go, following his car or, who's he texting? Who's he doing? That's your husband. So you can crave him as much as you want to. You can cook him breakfast. You could do this. You could do that. That's who those feelings are for.
Yes. I'll preach. I could go on a high horse for days about all of this with you. Okay. We talked about praying for your husband, virginity. I don't even remember what else. What else did we talk about? Lots of good stuff. Are there any more videos you want to unpack?
Those are my most viral. I would say not just most viral, but most impactful towards young women. Because I just had some random videos that they'll just take off just because everybody else is watching everything else. But, those are my most impactful videos.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing. Please continue to post the truth bombs on the internet. I'll continue to like it and share it. I'll definitely duet one of them as we promote this podcast before it comes out because I feel like everyone needs to follow you. Yes. Ayana, if you could have, how old are you, by the way?
24.
Okay, I figured you were still a young thing. If you could have coffee with your 20-year-old self, and you can range that a little bit differently if you want to, 19, 18, whatever. But if you could have coffee with your younger self, what would you say?
It's okay to go down your own path. Don't look at other people's path and feel like you have to go down that path or that you feel abnormal because you're not doing the normal. That's what I would tell my younger self. Most of the bad decisions I made in my life is because I did not feel normal. I felt like I was going at a slower pace than everybody in my age group, And then once I had my daughter and I listened to other women, especially in this generation, they go, I had my kid when I was 30. So, that's what I would tell myself is you are not abnormal because you're not doing the norm. You're not doing what everybody else is doing. It's okay to go down your own path. If you want to wait, wait. If you want to continue college, continue college. Don't let nobody else's opinions of your dreams, goals, and aspirations stop you or change your path.
That's good. Normal is overrated, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I always say, quote, normal in American culture anyway is like overweight, addicted, and depressed. Do you really want to be normal?
Yes. Right.
Anyway, well, such a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you for the behind the scenes unpacking a little bit more of those viral videos. Keep what you're doing. We'll make sure we link your TikTok and Instagram on the show notes. But it was so good to meet you, my friend.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
If you enjoyed this episode, sharing is caring. I would love for you to simply take a screenshot from wherever you're listening and share it on social. You can tag me at Katie Bulmer Life or just text it to a friend. Say, hey, I enjoyed this episode and I think that you will too. The biggest compliment you can give is sharing a review on iTunes. That really helps other young women to find this podcast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending some time with me in your earbuds, and I hope that you gained some truths for your 20s.